Have you ever seen your cheerful dog wagging its tail? And then, just a second later, suddenly stop. Go quiet, eyes downcast, tail tucked between its legs? Without a word, you instantly know. I know I did something wrong. For dogs, the tail is like an emotional barometer. When it's wagging, they're happy, excited, craving closeness. But when it suddenly stops or tucks in tightly, especially between the legs, it's not just fear. It's often the very first sign of guilt. Just like a child who was laughing moments ago, now lowering their head, clenching their hands, walking slower, knowing they've disappointed you. I once met a mischievous golden retriever named Riley. One day, Riley sneakily tore up his owner's slipper. When the owner walked into the room, just one glance, Riley didn't bark, didn't run. He simply dropped down, tucked his tail, and looked away. And just like that, the man said, I just couldn't stay mad at him. Because sometimes, that drooped tail is the most sincere apology, spoken in complete silence. Here's a tip for when you see your dog tuck its tail after doing something wrong. Don't shout. Be still for a moment, and breathe with them. Sit down. Gently extend your hand, if they come to you. That's the moment you can forgive them with a soft touch. Watch their back. If it's slightly curved. If they're trembling, don't force them. Let them take the first step. A single tail can express what would take 1,000 words for us to say. And if you learn how to listen to that silent signal, you've already begun to build a bond beyond words. But tail tucking isn't the only sign. There's another gesture, even gentler, more subtle, that many people overlook. A soft nudge of the head into your lap, like a warm little plea for forgiveness. Have you ever felt this? You were just angry because your dog did something wrong, but just a few minutes later, they quietly approach, lower their head, nuzzle your hand, or gently rest their chin on your lap, so soft, so sincere? That's not begging. It's not them being needy. It's their way of saying, I'm sorry, please don't be mad. Dogs are creatures of connection. And when they feel guilty, they'll seek you out with the most tender gestures, trying to restore trust. That nuzzle of the nose, the gentle press of their head, or their attempt to crawl into your lap, it's not just about asking for forgiveness. It's their way of healing the distance that's begun to grow between you and them. I once saw a little poodle named Ellie, full of energy. One day, she knocked over a water jug, soaking the living room carpet. Her owner got upset and raised their voice. But Ellie didn't run. She simply lowered her head and quietly walked over, nuzzled her nose against her owner's leg, and stood still. 1 second, 2, then her owner knelt down, embraced Ellie, and cried. Because sometimes, that soft nudge isn't just an apology, it's a reminder that love is still here. Untouched. Here's a tip when your dog does this. Don't push them away, even if you're upset. Speak gently. Good boy, girl. I know. Place your hand on their head, or gently press your forehead to theirs for a few seconds. This act boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone, in both of you. When a dog says sorry, they don't use words, they use their heart. And if you respond with a gentle hug, you're not just forgiving them. You're reassuring them of your love. But not all dogs are that bold. Because sometimes, all they do is quietly lie down by your feet, silent, like a little shadow. Have you ever seen your dog, after being scolded, not run away, not beg, not bark, but quietly walk over, curl up at your feet, gently touch your ankle, and lie still? Not a single sound, just being there, like a silent shadow. To a dog, lying close at your feet isn't just about seeking comfort. It's a gesture of submission, apology, and a quiet plea to be accepted back into the pack. Dogs are pack animals. They understand hierarchy, and when they know they've done wrong, choosing to lie at your feet, a lower, vulnerable position, is their way of surrendering peacefully and asking for forgiveness. I once met a dog named Rusty, adopted from a shelter after years of mistreatment. Even after being loved and cared for, whenever Rusty accidentally knocked something over or made noise, he wouldn't run, wouldn't plead. He'd simply lie down quietly at his owner's feet, curling up as if not to be a bother. She once said, I don't need an apology. I just want him to know, he doesn't have to apologize anymore. Right finger, and it's truly moving, because that simple act of lying at your feet is your dog saying, I need love. Even if I made a mistake. A gentle tip when your dog does this after misbehaving. Don't nudge them away with your foot, even if you're still upset. Sit down, stroke their back or forehead, or simply rest your hand on them for a few seconds. You can softly say, "It's okay. I'm still here." They might not understand the words, but they'll feel your mood. Right finger. When a creature apologizes without words, every gesture becomes a tender plea. And sometimes, that silence speaks louder than any begging or whining ever could, even moving you to tears. But not all dogs approach you. Because sometimes, instead of coming close, they retreat to a corner, distant, quiet, and filled with sorrow. You walk into the room and see shredded pillows, scattered trash, and food gone missing. But what makes you stop isn't the mess, it's your dog. Curled up in a small corner. Quiet, not daring to meet your eyes. You call their name, they don't come. You step closer, they flinch slightly. They're not afraid of being punished. They're afraid of letting you down. For dogs, when they know they've broken the rules, they don't always know how to apologize in obvious ways. Some choose to withdraw, finding a quiet little spot, curling up, waiting, not to avoid punishment, but to self-soothe and process their emotions. I once witnessed a husky named Blue, playful but incredibly sensitive. One day, Blue knocked over an entire bucket of paint in the garage. Instead of running around making more mischief like usual, this time Blue crawled under a table, lying flat against the wall, completely still. His owner was furious at first, but when he bent down and saw those sorrowful eyes, he simply said, "Come on out. Blue, you don't need to hide to be forgiven." Right finger. And that's the truth. Some apologies don't come toward you, they quietly step away. If your dog hides in a corner after doing something wrong, try this. Don't pull them out right away. Sit at a small distance. Call them gently. When they peek out, slowly extend your hand. That's the safety cue that tells them you're no longer upset. When they come closer, praise them softly. Don't repeat their mistake too much. Focus on the reconnection. Right finger. A dog's silence isn't always indifference. Sometimes it's an apology too tender to put into action. And when you open your heart at the right moment, you're not just forgiving. You're teaching them something even more powerful. That love makes space for mistakes, as long as there's a sincere return. And after that quiet retreat, comes one of the most touching forms of apology. That hesitant gaze, unable to meet your eyes, as if trying to speak, but not knowing how. You look straight at your furry friend. Your voice just a little stern. "You did something, didn't you?" And instead of meeting your gaze, like they usually do, they turn their head away. Their eyes dart to the side. Or worse, they lower their head, staring at the floor. No excited sparkle in their eyes. No innocent curiosity. Just a pair of sad eyes, avoiding yours. In a dog's world, eye contact is a powerful form of communication. A direct stare can be a challenge. But lowering the eyes or looking away, that's a sign of submission. Apology. And a quiet plea for forgiveness. Like a child who just spilled mom's favorite mug, standing still in the kitchen, unable to look up. I once met a dog named Leo, smart, gentle, and living with a family that had 2 little girls. One day, while no one was watching, Leo accidentally bit into the sketchbook one of the girls had been drawing in. When she walked in, Leo didn't move. He just lay there, eyes down, glancing away, unable to meet her gaze even once. The little girl walked over, patted his head, and softly said, "It's okay, Leo. I know you didn't mean to." And you know what happened next? Leo slowly turned back, gently touched his forehead to her hand, and let out a quiet sigh. Right finger. That moment, when their eyes meet again, that's when forgiveness is spoken, without a single word. Here's a tip when your dog avoids eye contact. Don't force them to look at you when they're feeling down. Lower yourself to their level. Soften your gaze, and call their name with a warm, gentle tone. If they glance back at you even once, nod slightly. Or whisper something kind. Right finger. Some eyes don't look up, because they're too afraid to disappoint you. And once you learn to read that glance, you'll never scold them unfairly again. Because behind that look, sometimes comes a soft whimper. A tiny sound from a very full heart. You're cleaning up the mess your dog just made. And from behind you comes a soft whimper, barely a whisper. It's not the sound of pain. Not a begging whine like when they want food. But a faint, drawn-out sound from deep in their throat, like a quiet plea. For dogs, Sound is a crucial part of their communication. And when they let out a low whimper after doing something wrong, it's not complaining. It's the most heartfelt way they know how to express guilt with their voice. I remember a little corgi named Peanut, mischievous, full of energy, but incredibly sensitive. One day, Peanut accidentally knocked over an old vase from the shelf. Right after the crash, when his owner rushed over, Peanut crawled under the table and let out the softest whimper, almost trembling. No one could stay mad, because that sound was like a whisper saying, "Right finger, I know I messed up, please don't push me away." That sound can draw you closer, if you pause long enough to truly hear it. Tips to recognize the apologetic whimper. It's soft, sometimes shaky, often paired with avoiding eye contact or drooping ears. There's no barking or frantic movement. No demand for attention. Respond with a gentle voice. Shush, it's okay. And place your hand softly on their body. Right finger. Some whimpers aren't cries for attention, they're quiet requests for forgiveness. And that little sound, so small, if you truly love your pup, you'll hear it, with your whole heart. But there's one behavior even more powerful than any gaze or sound. It's when they roll over and expose their belly, offering you their trust. Completely and unguarded. Have you ever scolded your dog for misbehaving, and just minutes later, you find them lying on their back, belly exposed, legs gently tucked in, eyes gazing up at you, full of quiet surrender? No struggling, no reaction, just a small body laid open, in the most vulnerable posture possible. For dogs, the belly is an extremely sensitive area, home to their most vulnerable parts. They only expose it when they fully trust, or fully submit. And when they show their belly after doing something wrong, it's the ultimate apology. A complete surrender, placing all forgiveness in your hands. I once met a Labrador named Lucy, living with an elderly couple. One day, Lucy sneakily carried her owner's slipper into the toilet. When the woman found out, her voice rose in sharp surprise. Lucy didn't run, she didn't nuzzle, she simply walked over, laid on her back on the floor, belly exposed, looking up, no whimpering, no trembling. Her owner recalled. I looked into her eyes, and I saw one thing. I messed up. I give you all my trust, do what you will. Right finger. And I realized, some apologies don't need words, just an open body. Quite literally. Tips for responding when your dog rolls over an apology. Never press down on them or shout at this moment, it can leave lasting fear. Simply kneel down, gently touch their belly. That's the signal you've forgiven them. You can whisper, "It's okay now," and stroke gently from their chest to their cheeks. It helps them feel safe right away. Right finger. When a dog shows its belly, it's not weakness, it's absolute trust in the one they call family. And if you respond the right way, you'll see their eyes light up again, like a child who's just been forgiven and embraced. But beyond all these visible signs, there's one final gesture, often overlooked. Yet it may be the most telling of all. When your dog starts to breathe slower, a soft, quiet sigh of relief. Have you ever noticed? After everything, once you've calmed down, sat beside your pup, and laid your hand gently on them, they let out a long, quiet breath, soft, like a sigh of relief? It's not panting. It's not from heat or exertion. It's the breath of a heart that's just been forgiven. For dogs, breathing reflects emotion in real time. When they're tense, scolded, or sense heavy energy, they breathe fast, shallow, and sometimes shakily. But the moment they feel your calm, maybe a softened gaze, or your hand resting gently on their back, they begin to breathe slower, deeper, longer. That's the clearest sign that says, right finger, I get it. It's okay now. Thank you for not giving up on me. I once witnessed that very moment with a boxer named Bruno, playful, a bit destructive. Bruno had scratched up the leather couch and got scolded. Afterward, he whimpered, ears down, curled up tightly. His owner sat down, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said nothing. And right then, Bruno let out one long, unmistakable sigh, as if all the tension in his little heart had just melted away. Right finger. And that single breath was enough to bring his owner to tears. Tips to recognize and encourage this forgiveness sigh. Sit quietly beside them. Don't touch them right away. When they start to breathe slowly, that is your cue to make contact. You can rest your hand gently along the middle of their back, moving with the rhythm of their breath. They'll completely relax. Right finger, when a dog exhales softly. That's their heart sighing in relief, knowing love is still there. Unchanged. And if you can recognize that moment, you've reached the most beautiful part of the bond between human and dog. Right finger, a love that rises above mistakes, through understanding. And now, if you've journeyed with me through all 9 heartwarming ways dogs say they're sorry, stay for just a moment more, because this closing message may forever change how you look at your dog's eyes. Dogs can't speak. They can't bow their heads in apology or write heartfelt letters like we do. But through their quiet gestures, a tucked tail, an averted gaze, a gentle whimper, or even a long sigh, they're telling you, right finger, I know I did wrong, please don't push me out of your heart. You see, they apologize with the purest parts of themselves. No calculation, no pretending, just love and trust, so honest, so raw, it can take your breath away. If today, you've ever scolded, misunderstood, or overlooked that silent, apologetic gaze, that's okay. Because now, you have the chance to love more wisely, more gently, and more truly. Right finger, never underestimate an unspoken apology, because sometimes it's a cry from a small heart learning to love you with everything it has. Take a few seconds each day to listen, to understand, because you won't always have the time to say,